Hi guys, so here is your massage demonstration video for Lomi Lomi level 2 with our massage therapy. We will be moving through this sequence, demonstrating each move, breaking the move down for you and then showing you what it looks like. I hope you enjoy this session. As with all of our massage sequence, the first place we start with our connection is within our own heart and our hands. So we place our hands on our heart, breathing in through the crown of the head into the heart space, feeling the heart open and expand, and exhaling out through the arms and hands, activating our palms. We then mindfully and with presence place our hands on our client's body or partner's body and feel the rise and fall of their breath. So then breathing in with your client and exhaling, dropping in and allowing that connection to take place. Drawing with the right hand up the spine, we bring the fingertips to the back of the head. Bringing the left hand up in invocation, we call in the energies that we will be working with through the session. As this is a Hawaiian form, I will do a Hawaiian welcome in and invocation for you. Aloha ke akua, mahalo nui loa, e aloha mai, e ola noa. And that is calling in the universal source energy with very much gratitude, asking for the flow of love energy and healing. We then mindfully work with undraping our partner's body, taking the sarong down to waist level, folding it neatly in between the legs so that you don't get tangled on the draping. We then roll and place the draping down so that there's no gaps and they've got their modesty intact. Maintaining contact, I like to either put my thigh on the back of their foot or just so their toes are touching my leg. That way they know where I'm at and I've not just walked off on them. With our oil, we oil up both of our arms all the way to the elbows and hands. More oil for the soles of the feet so that they're oiled and prepared for later. Now we drizzle the oil through the forked fingers as we run up the entire length of the body. Placing the oil down to smear the oil with both hands. Transitioning around the body, we walk backwards to flow down the dry side of the body so our fingers don't snag. And then drizzling oil through the fingertips up the other side of the body. Making sure to catch any little running droplets of oil. Now we oil up underbelly. So the way I do it is I place some oil in my left hand and I rub it on the back of my right arm. I then put a little bit more oil in the palms of my hands and I take it to the sacrum, where I do loving circles in towards the belly button. For my posture, I step back and create space so that my back isn't compromised. I've got my feet firmly planted on the ground, and the back of my hand is pressing into the table. This other hand comes over and slightly lifts the abdomen as I go under the belly, wheeling up under the belly. I then just gently place my oil out of the way so I don't knock it off the table later. Flowing up, down both legs, I transition now to the upper body to move into our sequence. The first move is double hands. This is out of your Lomi Lomi 1 sequence. Both hands are placed firmly on the upper back. Down, around, up the sides, press into the traps and out through the neck. So breaking that down for you, hands are on either side of the spine. My feet are in a runner's stance so that my back's not compromised. My posture is good. I flow down the whole length of the spine, leaning in, going around and pressing into the glutes, sliding up the sides of the body, under the armpits, and then pressing into the upper trapezius and out through the neck and head. And it looks like this. Down, up the sides, push and pull out through the head. Now we move into Lomi 1 alternating stroke. The alternating stroke, we park both hands on the upper back and we step forward with the right foot and right hand down into the glutes, keeping our posture good, up the side. And as this hand's coming back, we step across and forward with the left hand and left foot, which creates the alternating stroke. In flow, it looks like this. We then shorten the stroke up to around the scapula. It's virtually the same stroke, but it's now just going around the scapula, coming up under the armpit and circling the scapula. Shortening even further into the trapezius and neck. Here, our fingertips are pointing up, around the shoulder, down. The hand curls at the neck. And again, our feet are moving with us, which helps to keep our posture good. Those are our Lomi 1 moves. Now we move into the new moves for your Lomi 2 sequence. We flow around the shoulder, curl the hand at the neck. We come up, palm up into stage 1. The cushy part of our arm is on the spinal erector next to the spine, in between the spine and the scapula. Make sure that you're on the muscle. As you come up and down the spinal erector, after the elbow is past the scapula, we turn, soften the hand to the side, and we go down and then up the side. So palm up, palm down, soft part of the arm goes down the body, elbow comes to the table, and then we come up the side of the body. It looks like this in flow. See how my body and posture is good because my feet are moving with me? That is stage 1. Moving now into stage 2, it is virtually the same move, but as we come up, palms down, the elbow comes to the table in front of the hip, and then we roll palms up into the glute. Palms down and the pressure transverses through the arm to the palm as we come down to the back of the knees. And then on the other side, palm up, palm down, elbow to the table, roll over the crest of the hip, up into the glute, and then palm down to the back of the knee. It's important to use your footwork with these moves. It looks like this. palm up, palm down, palm up, palm down. Stage 3 is simply lengthening the stroke. Palm up, palm down, elbow to the table, palm up and into the glute, and then we go travel down all the way to the feet, coming up the whole length of the body. So this is stage 3. See, as I come up the body, I still am massaging, I'm caressing the body on my way up. Being mindful of my own posture. We now use that stage 3 move to transition down to the foot. Are you okay? Yeah. Palm down, palm up. I get to the glute area and I turn so that I can just walk backwards with my hands down to the foot. Okay, so we've just moved Rafa before we move into long flowing strokes for the purpose of filming, so you can actually see me and not just my back. So when we move into long flowing strokes now, remember it's our outside hand and arm that leads, flowing up the whole length of the body, keeping our posture nice. We step, pivot, and then flow down again with the outside arm leading. Coming around the outside of the foot and flowing up the whole length of the body. Step and pivot and flowing down. All of these strokes can be done anywhere from 3 to 8 or even 12 times. I'm just doing a demo, so I'm just doing a couple of strokes of each. We now move into partings, which again is some of your Lomi 1 flow. Stroking up each part of the leg into the hamstrings, parting the glutes, the lower back, mid back, and whole back. Flowing down the arm, squeezing out the arm, turning and parting the hand. Step back, 1, 2, and flow down the length of the body to part the sole of the foot. We then move into figure eighting each part of the leg, figure eighting the lower leg, the back of the knee, the hamstring, and the whole leg. Remembering that these figure eights, we are pushing lymph up through the body and then opening the vessels on the way down. Pushing up and opening the vessels on the way down. Flowing up now and figure eighting the glute. I quite often use this because our fingers, I should say, all of our fingertips are much more sensory. So I use this move to really feel where in the glute they might need deeper work or where in the whole body they might need some deeper work. Figure eighting the lower back, mid back, whole back. We now move up around the shoulder and scapula, down the arm. Inside palm is on palm. Outside hand runs up the arm, under the front of the shoulder. The inside hand then comes to the sacrum and up the spinal erector and around the scapula. That's the whole move. And then we can shorten that stroke to circle the scapula. flowing back down the body to the left foot. We now begin with our stage 1, 2 and 3, up the body. Stage 1, hands are palms up, coming up the calf. We roll as we go down so that the soft part of the forearm is on the calf muscle. Try not to hit any bones with the ridge of your arm bone. It just doesn't feel very nice, especially on the knee and the ankle, so watch out for that. Palms up, palms down, making sure your contact is with their body, not just on your own arms. Palms up, palms down. Then we roll onto the soft part of our arm, navigating the femur head. Careful not to hit the elbow on the femur head. We take the elbow in, navigating up into the glute, and then down to the table and across the back. That's stage 1, and it looks like this. Palms up, palms down, palms up, down, and navigate around the glute, elbow to table, arm across and back down. Stage 2 starts just the same. Palms up, palms down, palms up, navigate the glute, elbow to table, across the back, and now the difference is that we step back, creating space for one arm to go under body and the other to go over the top, around and down. And it looks like this. Stage 3 starts the same, palms up, palms down, up, navigate the glute, around the glute to the table, across the sacrum, and then we go far enough across the other side of the body that we set up a good line to connect with the spinal erector with our elbow. We've got to make sure that our elbow tip is not on the spine or any bones. So we find the muscle and then navigate up the spinal erector, bringing our posture with us. So we're not leaning, and we're also keeping a nice even pressure up the back. Soften and flow back down. So that's stage 3. Up, down, up, navigate the femur, across the back and up on the spinal erector. In flow, it looks like this. That whole stage 1, 2, 3 sequence together. 1, 2, 3. Flowing down now, we lift the foot and move into navigating the foot. We turn towards the back of the room, rolling the forearm through the sole of the foot. Turn towards the head and roll the other arm through. As we're rolling the arm through the sole of the foot, we also bring the hand up the front of the foot, which creates a nice encompassing of the whole foot. It looks like this. Then we roll into milking the foot, which is a really simple action. Sometimes I use my thumbs to massage the front lines on the foot from here as well. Stepping to allow the foot and ankle to fall into the nook of the elbow, the inner arm. We bring our other hand down and then we go up, the back and inner foot at the same time. So we go down the whole calf and then up the whole calf all the way to the toes, cradling the foot. Turning now, we bring our forearms into dinner plates, either side of the lower leg. Then into knee-gasm. The full gasm. Yes, it's what I call these. Actually, knee-gasm came from high spirits, and then we just added on to it. And then the girls called this one the Arwen gasm, where we just massaged the calf and the back of the knee. The outside arm comes through the base of the knee. The soft part of the forearm now runs up the hamstring. The elbow turns in towards the glute, around the glute, down to the table. And at the same time, I'm drawing my inner elbow and bicep up the leg to the top of the foot, bringing the heel towards the glute. If they don't have a very good range of flexibility, you may need to hold your arm there and just go to where their range is. This hand, if they do have okay flexibility, comes down onto the glutes and we press in. That move looks like this, that leg lift. Flowing up, press, and then back. The extension of that leg lift starts exactly the same, bringing the heel towards the glute, across the back and up the spinal erector. Just lengthening the stretch. I'll do that one more time for you. Now we come into windmilling the leg. The purpose of this is that we don't hit the bones with our forearm. So I bring the cushy part of my forearm down the outside of the leg and I take the foot away from me. But as I come close to those knee bones, I rotate the leg back towards me, which tucks the bones away. As I've navigated over the knee, I then push the foot away from me again, coming up the ITB with the cushy part of my forearm. As I get towards the head of the femur, I rotate the foot back towards me again, which tucks the head of the femur away into the pelvis socket. I rotate my elbow now into the glute where I can get some really decent depth. And you can hold some depth in there if you need. Here, before I exit this move the last time, I surreptitiously use my elbow just to knock the forearm off the table so that I can flow back into what is called the frog stretch. This hand makes its way under the top of the quad while I've got the leg cradled in my elbow. I lift the knee out and I cover. See how I'm holding this with my forearm? I put the draping so that their modesty is intact and they're all covered up. I now take my hand to their foot and I've got their weight, their legs supported by my belly. I've actually rested his knee and shin on my tummy. So I bring the knee up towards the armpit now. If I feel the client needs a like guided breath. I might say, Rafa, could you inhale? And then on the exhale, I take the knee towards the armpit. Inhale, exhale. And I go with the out breath. We then do the move that we coined the Sergio, which is holding the knee. Inhale, Raf, and exhale. As he exhales, we open the pelvis. Drawing that leg back and placing it at the side of the table, making sure their knee seems comfortable. They will adjust their knee if they need to. So adjust your knee if you need to, Raf. That's it. Good. Beautiful. Flowing out. Now, with our Lomi 1 sequence, you'll remember that we did dancing, double thumbs and loving touch. This would be the place that you could add that move. However, we're not doing that now, but this is a good spot to add it if you do want to do that. Flowing up the length of the body, I now come back to the arm, holding the wrist, flying the arm with an under and over of the palms. We now bring the forearm down to the front of the table to milk the arm. After flying the arm down to the front of the table, we give it a nice solid milk, squeezing all the way down to the fingertips. Coming up to the top, we begin to massage the bicep and tricep, flowing down into the elbow and forearms. Back up to the top to start with the wet Chinese burn. And then down into the palms of the hands. I like to open up the palms of the hands and squeezing out each finger. Now we hold the inner elbow as we lift the arm back up to the back of the head. Placing your palm on their palm. You can guide them if you like to inhale. And then with the exhalation, you stretch into the resistance. Inhale and exhale. You see that when he was inhaling, I let go of the stretch as well, moving with the breath. Now we change underarms, taking the palm of the hand to their back. The back side of their hand to their mid-back and your palm to the middle of their back. See, he's inhaling. And then as he exhales, I take the elbow towards the ceiling. And exhale, taking the elbow up. You then rest his forearm on your forearm, which creates a gap for this arm to let go and come through the hole. You go down the side of the body, taking some of the tension out of the arm, allowing your elbow to come down onto the spinal erector next to the spine. Flowing up the muscle next to the spine. This is where we can lay some pressure down. I'm in between the spine and the scapula. I'm on the muscle, and the deeper we go, the slower we go. The more you come up onto your elbow, the deeper that move is. You'll see my hand is rotating, and that creates little articulations in the elbow joint, which creates a subtle movement. The muscle seems to respond to that and letting go. Down the trap, around the shoulder, out through the arm, and we finish the way we began with the under and over shoulder move. flushing the whole length of the body. Down the arm as well. We now use what we call the snake arm transition to transition to the other side of the body. We come under the shoulder, over the neck, all the way down, stepping around and then rolling up into our Kahuna 3 move. Kahuna stage 3, down the back to the foot to repeat on the other side. And now we're going to flow up to the upper back. Flowing in transition down both sides of the body, walking backwards up to the upper back. Here we go into our basic Lomi 1 moves with double hands. Fingertips are pointing up, navigate around the shoulders, up and out, and we step straight into the double hand move. You can do 8 or so of those, and then we move into alternating. I'll move swiftly through these because you guys know all of these moves. The alternating strokes, when the right hand goes forward, so does the right foot. This keeps your posture right. When the left hand goes forward, so does the left foot. We then shorten this stroke, and this is where you would add your dancing and double thumbs and loving touch for the spine. Flowing up and down either side of the body, we now transition and move into the double decker stroke. So I've come to this side of the body to massage the other side of the spine. I have one hand on top of the other, going up the spinal erector, around the shoulder, down the side, and I lift the hip. So it's up the back, around the shoulder, down the side, and lift the hip. Here we can circle those glutes, lean back and really draw the fingers into all the fascia and even the TFL in the side of that glute. You can come up and shorten the stroke around the scapula. And then we transition from one side to the other side with our loving spinal strokes. Up the back, around the shoulder, down the side, and lift the hip. Here we can isolate the stroke by circling the glute and hip, really grasping that hip bone and dragging the fingertips through all that tight glute muscle, the TFL and fascia. Up the back and circling the scapula. We flow down the side. The right hand comes to the sacrum. The left hand comes to the back door of the heart. We do clockwise circles on the sacral area, remembering that this is an emotional part of the body. And it's also where a lot of the Kundalini, if people's Kundalini energy has been activated, it can be quite charged in this space. It can be a sexual energy in this space. And being mindful that sometimes people hold a lot of inflammation and things in this space. So if people have experienced things like childhood sexual abuse or something like that, there could be a lot of really charged, stored emotion in this space. On a nicer note, creative energy can also be stored in this space. So I find it really nice to send harmony to this space. When I'm working on the sacral area, I consciously send harmony to that space, for that space to harmonize, heal, and flow. So doing gentle clockwise circles. I feel the warmth building under the palm of my hand, and I bring the left hand down as a little roof, and we gently coax and invite that energy up the spine, which is actually its natural trajectory. Coming into figurating the back of the neck. We figure eight on one side and turn to figure eight on the other side. Then we add and finish with a double kahuna stroke. Fingertips are pointing up, palms are pressing through the cushy part of my palm into the trapezius. I push in, out through the neck, and I roll at the neck as I come up onto my forearms, either side of the spine. I get my feet into a better position so my back is safe. As I come down the spine, when my elbows are past the scapula, I slide arms and palms down, coming up the side, pushing into the traps and out through the neck. It looks like this. To finish off, you can come up, down, up the sides, and even down the arms all the way to the palms. And then up, out through the neck and head. We've then finished most of our back of body flow. So we drape our beautiful body. And we added in for this sequence the body wobble. The best way to begin with the body wobble is to actually place the right hand on the sacrum and gently begin to wobble the body. This helps to loosen up the lower lumbar, particularly if there are any pinched nerves or bulging discs. It can be a nice subtle movement that just helps to create space in the spine. Gently wobbling the sacrum, loosening up the spine. I then swap hands, bringing my right hand to the side of the glute and hip, beginning to wobble the body. The cushy palm part of my left hand now goes onto the muscle next to the spine, and I push into the muscle, pushing that muscle away from the spine, creating space in the spine for the spinal fluid to flow more freely. Gently making your way up the whole spinal erector. Maintaining that rock as we move around the body and repeat on the other side. Creaky bed sounds like an old boat. Straightening up the sarong, I now, with the little pads of my fingers, grasp either side of the vertebrae and make my way up the vertebrae, wiggling and jiggling each little nook on the way up, creating beautiful, healthy movement in the spine. Contraindications would be if people have a serious spinal injury, have had recent spinal surgery, or in very rare cases, I've only ever met 2 people, have been born without a part of their spine, so the spinal column and cord would not be protected. The actual vertebrae, the bone, protects the spinal cord. So this movement shouldn't actually harm or impede the spinal cord at all. flowing up and down. We now get ready to transition to front of body. So now we hold up the sarong and ask our client to roll over, scoot down the table, placing their head on the table so we can begin on front of body. So after our body has rolled over, which is Rafa in this case, thank you Rafa, we fix up the draping so that it's not tucked in anywhere and that we've got it over the arms. We then make sure that the body is in a really straight alignment. So lifting the arm now, we take it out to the side, listening to the shoulder as we rotate, supporting the elbow, and we can stretch the arm and wing directly out to the side. Supporting the elbow now, we go to take the shoulder straight up above the head, Korat. But contraindication is if they flinch here, they could have a rotation cuff injury or a bursitis that we're not aware of if they didn't tell us during consultation. So don't take it above this angle. You need to take that arm straight back down. However, listening to the shoulder as you begin to rotate, if the shoulder rotates safely, you simply monkey grip the arm, stretch out those lats inside of the body, and then gently supporting as you bring it back down to the side. Going under and straightening the cervical spine. I then cover that arm with the draping as I transition around to the other side of the body, repeating on this side. That's me hitting it. Okay, placing the blindfold. We come down to straighten the legs and press into the heels. Our sarong is now sorted, and before beginning on the head, face and neck, we say hello to the front of body. We do this by placing the left palm on the forehead and the right hand on the heart. The words are E Aloha Mai, which means let there be love. The right hand then goes down to the area of the solar plexus. The Hawaiian words are E Mana Mai, which is let there be power. Remember, the power comes from within. We then take the right hand down to the sacral area, just below the belly button on your belly. E Pono Mai, let there be harmony. Pono also means let this be effective, let this work. Down to the hips. E Ola No, and that is let there be healing. The knees. Amama Ua Noa, so be it, healing. To the feet, Lele Valia Kua Noa, that God will do. So we ask the God energies to heal what comes out from the feet, because that's quite dense, some of that stuff, we don't want it to stick to us. We now move up to do the neck, face and head. We begin with oiling up a little bit. We don't want to put too much oil on the face, so we put it in the palms of the hands and on the backs of the arms. We then place a little stroke of oil on the forehead for later. Then putting the cushy parts of the palms into the trapezius, we press, our fingers are pointing up, they roll around the shoulders and under the back, going under the body next to the spine. Drawing up the spine, we then lift the head, milking the neck and moving any hair that may have been under the shoulders out of the way. We then move into our simple forehead strokes. We lengthen the stroke with the cushy part of the arm. And then we drag and claw the forehead stroke. While one hand still remains on the forehead, we bring the cushy knife edge of the hand in between the eyebrows, down the side of the face and up, alternating the knife edge stroke. Then we move into scissoring the chin, spirals down the side of the neck, not over the throat, we're on either side of the throat. This helps to clear the pathway for the lymph. It's clearing the space so that we can clear the sinuses properly. The circles then move over the collarbone or clavicle to the upper trapezius, creating space for lymphatic drainage. The hands turn as we come up and then circle at the back of the ears. Those circles then move up into the cheeks, to the temples, and the thumbs come to the sinus clearing point in between the eyebrows. We first press right along the top of the eyebrow ridge and circle at the temple. Coming back to the center, drawing completely along the top of the eyebrows, circle the temple again. Third time in between the eyebrows, and then the thumbs go down either side of the nose, careful not to hit the eye. And as you get to the nostrils and the bottom of the cheekbone, you flare the nostrils out and follow the cheekbone down, clearing the sinuses. Bringing your fingertips to the little nook behind the ear, which is a lymph point. Coming up, cushy parts of the palm on the forehead, pressing the forehead open. We warm our hands now, placing heart energy out through the hands, over the eyes. We roll into the cheeks on the thumbs, into the little divot between the cheekbone and jawbone, rolling and then coming up onto the cushy part of the arm, down, and then these cushy parts of the palms come down the side of the neck, pressing into the trapezius as we go under body, up, lift the head to really milk the neck. Taking a little bit of time here to milk the neck because that will really help to clear the sinuses and it just feels really good. Holding and supporting the back of the skull, we can bring some decompression or traction into the cervical spine as we then turn the ear to the table. I now allow this hand to come and hold space while I step away. So now with this cushy part of our hand, we push into the side of the neck and down into the trapezius. My fingertips are pointed up as they go around the shoulder, curl under and come back. my footwork, I step back and this hand comes over and follows through. So I step forward, push in, and then I step back and follow through. And it looks like this. If you'd really like to put a nice bit of pressure into the trapezius, I get nice and low, pushing into the table and pressure through the heel of my hand into his upper trap. Rolling out and under. We now go under body with that same hand. So it's rolling under and it comes under body, down next to the spine, as the other hand comes up onto the pectoral muscle and flows down the front of the shoulder as the underbody hand comes out. Push, under, and then above, all at the same time. Transitioning now, I bring my body so that his head is facing me. And I can massage the back of his head and neck. The side of the face. The forehead and back of the head at the same time. Scissoring the ears. Massaging the ear with little firm circular presses. And we now move into massaging the jaw. Starting at the chin, we work our way slowly and methodically up the jaw muscle and the side of the face. And finishing with the ear. So a dancing thumb and then a straight thumb. Moving now, we transition back into our neck position. This is where we do our deep trigger release on the neck. So our fingers turn around and they come to hold and support the skull. We exchange hands so that this opposite hand is holding the skull, which frees up this hand and thumb to do the circles from the ear, finding the muscle and working our way down the side of the neck. Contraindication would be being on an artery. If it has a pulse, get your finger off it, basically. So that's the little dancing thumb. We then do a nice straight thumb stroke all the way down into our trigger point release. We turn the chin towards the point, which lets us get a deeper release. Easing out and across the trapezius. And a nice loving stroke. There's a second line and we come in from the base of the skull, the occipital ridge, and we're pushing the muscle away from the cervical spine. Bringing the thumb down into the upper trapezius, Finding the trigger point or the key lock in the upper trapezius, this helps to release the neck. We can then take the chin towards the trigger point, which allows us to actually get deeper. And finishing with a loving touch. We now use a transition to go to the other side. So the hand comes under the skull and gently turns the ear to the table. And we repeat on the other side. So after we've completed face and neck, I like to finish by really supporting the back of the skull with my left hand and bringing the right over to the bones of the eye socket. I've called this one the Tibetan skull hold. So I guide our client to inhale deeply down into their abdomen. So Rafa, please inhale into your abdomen, nice and slow, and exhale. And as he exhales, I gently leverage back, creating space in the cervical spine. Inhale down into your belly, nice and slow, and exhale, creating traction and decompression sometimes in the cervical spine. We lift the head supporting it while we grab the tail of the blindfold, taking it over and then under the head. Placing the head on the folded up sarong. This is a nice space to massage the ears. And if you'd like, the head. Remembering it feels nicer, a head massage feels nicer if you're moving the skin around on the skull, more so than being really rough on the scalp, unless you're doing an intentional Indian head massage. We then simply fold the blindfold over. And come down, preparing the front of the body. Now, if you have a female client who in consultation seemed a little bit unsure about having the front of her body uncovered, this is the time to ask and check. However, if your client or friend felt comfortable with the undraping of the front of the body, I wouldn't ask them because they're probably completely out of it at this stage and it's no point waking them up. So, Rafa, are you comfortable with me undraping the front of your body?
Yes, please.
Taking the draping down, we do a nice tidy fold just above the pubic bone. We then fold in towards the groin. You actually don't want too much hanging over because you're more likely to get your fingers tangled on it. Contraindication is that sometimes with the male anatomy, a penis might actually be sticking straight up or out to the side, in which case you would need a little bit more draping to make sure that their modesty is intact and that they're covered. Holding the hip and drawing the draping in and placing it down, closing any gaps. Particularly, always, the most important thing is that our clients feel safe, that they're warm, that they know we're touching them with integrity and with consent. So if anyone is ever uncomfortable in this situation, you can use half draping, you can even cover them with a blanket. Make sure your room is warm as well because it helps them to feel safe. Now the draping is done, we flow down to the foot and begin to oil up through the forks of our fingers, up the length of the body and down. Oiling up, smearing the oil over the whole torso, and remember that inner thigh area as well. Transitioning to oil up the other side of the body. Trying your best to transition in flow. Remember, it is still part of the massage. Oiling up through the fingers, up the whole length of the body. I now take my oil out of the way so that I'm not going to knock it over. Get good at oiling up in one nice succinct hit so that you're not stopping and starting with your flow. We can go under and over with the oil. And you can also take that oil diagonally from the hip up to the other shoulder, the diagonal shoulder. I like to transition by going down both legs and then walking backwards up the full length of the body. Spreading the oil evenly down the arms. We now move into our double hand flow. Both hands on the sternum. See, I've gone into a runner's stance so that I can step diagonally, watching my own posture as I go down the center of their body, splay out and up the sides. I like to swap my feet, alternate my feet so that my body's balanced and even. It keeps me moving and I build energy while I'm moving rather than getting stagnant. This is the double hand stroke from Lomi 1. We then move into the alternating hand stroke. Our Lomi 1 alternating hand stroke is like this. With this level, we like to go the next level and you take the hand across to the other side of the body, the soft part of the forearm down and up the side of the torso. I find it better for my posture if as I come down, my ear comes down and I'm kind of dancing. Shortening the stroke now, we come up around the pecs or breasts, under the armpit and around the chest. This move is incredibly beneficial for people's health. It's not actually a sexual massage, however, it can be considered an erogenous zone. So being mindful with our intention with Lomi Lomi here, we're breathing into the heart, out through the hands, and really drawing up under the armpit where all of that lymphatic area is. Really good for the immune system. Moving down the center of the body, the palm comes up into a kahuna arm and we go into the kahuna belly. Palm up, palm down, and then the other palm comes through, palm up, palm down. That then maneuvers into body pulls up the opposite side of the body. Pressing into the pec and shoulder as we flow down to the right side leg, where we move into kahuna stage 1, 2 and 3. We go up and under the knee and to the hip with the outer hand. That's stage 1. The next move is stage 2, so we flow up and under and over the belly at the same time. Remember